I think the next one I did was the Hulk.
Multiple times in this comic, he's a different color gray. To make it easier, he just turned him green.
With Al Ewing for Immortal Hulk.
Batman does not lose. He is the best-selling comic book character on the planet, except for one insane stretch of time when a green rage monster walked in and beat him at his own game. This is the story of how the Hulk, a character who got canceled after just 6 issues, grew up to outsell Batman, outrate Spider-Man on TV, and outgross Christopher Nolan at the box office. 10 unbelievable moments. Let's smash into it.
No banner, only Hulk!
Chapter 1. The Comeback. Nobody saw coming here is a fun fact most people do not know. Hulk was a flop. Straight up a total flop. He launched in 1962 and he got canceled after only 6 issues. Nobody wanted him. Nobody was buying him. Editors probably thought he was finished forever. But comics are weird and unpredictable, and by the 1970s, during what fans call the Bronze Age, something shifted in a huge way. College kids were angry and disillusioned and questioning everything around them. And suddenly, this misunderstood, raging anti-hero made total sense to them. The Hulk was not a clean-cut Boy Scout like the heroes before him. He was messy and emotional and impossible to control. He felt real. He felt human, even though he was a giant green monster. That energy matched exactly what an entire generation was feeling, and that shift turned The Incredible Hulk from a canceled failure into one of Marvel's flagship titles almost overnight. Chapter 2. Beating DC. At the newsstand. During that same Bronze Age stretch, something even bigger was happening behind the scenes. Marvel's whole roster of flawed and emotionally messy characters, with the Hulk leading the charge, started routinely outselling DC Comics in overall market share. Think about that for a second. Traditional heroes who never had a bad day and never struggled with anything suddenly looked boring next to a guy who could level an entire city block because he was having a rough afternoon. Readers wanted flaws. They wanted pain. They wanted a hero who could lose control, and DC simply could not keep up with that shift for years. Round 1 on the newsstand goes to the Hulk, and it was not even close. DC's editorial team had to take notice and eventually shift their own approach because of this exact pressure. It was a quiet revolution happening one comic shop at a time across the entire country. Chapter 3. The TV show that changed everything. This is the moment the Hulk stopped being just a comic book thing and became a full-blown household name across the entire country. The Incredible Hulk TV series made a bold choice that nobody expected. It did not play Bruce Banner's condition for laughs like a lot of superhero media did back then. It treated it like a real tragedy, a man cursed by his own body, a man constantly running from himself. Audiences connected with that pain on a massive emotional level, and the show quickly became appointment viewing in households that had never picked up a single comic book in their entire lives. Bill Bixby brought a quiet, weary sadness to Bruce Banner that made every transformation feel like a genuine loss rather than a fun spectacle. Lou Ferrigno's physical presence as the Hulk gave the character a real sense of danger that felt believable on screen. Chapter 4. The ratings number that still holds up. Now let's talk numbers, because this stat still blows people's minds today. In the 1977 to 1978 television season, this show pulled a massive 19.9 Nielsen rating. And to put that in real context, that made it the 26th most watched program in the entire country. Not the 26th most watched superhero show, not the 26th most watched sci-fi show, the 26th most watched show period across every single genre on American television. That is an absolutely staggering number for a character who had literally been canceled just a few years earlier in the comics. Networks at the time rarely saw genre television perform anywhere near that level against mainstream sitcoms and dramas. Advertisers took notice too and started lining up to be part of the show's massive weekly audience. Chapter 5. Crushing the superhero TV competition. The Hulk did not just succeed quietly in the background. He completely steamrolled his own competition on primetime television. He easily outlasted CBS's The Amazing Spider-Man series, which struggled to find the same footing and could not maintain the same momentum. And when it comes to long-term cultural footprint, he even outshadowed Wonder Woman, despite her own show having plenty of passionate fans. In the battle of 1970s superhero television, there was one clear, undisputed champion, and it was the big green guy that absolutely nobody expected walking into that decade. Spider-Man's live-action attempt struggled with a tone that never quite matched the tragedy audiences wanted from a hero drama. Looking back now, it is clear the Hulk simply understood what television audiences of that era truly wanted to feel. Chapter 6. The toy aisle takeover. Once the show exploded in popularity, Hulk merchandise turned into an absolute cultural juggernaut. Almost overnight, Mego Corporation's Hulk action figures were everywhere you look. Colorform sets were everywhere. Halloween Halloween costumes were every single store across the country. This was not some niche comic book collectible situation sold only in specialty shops. This was mainstream aisle dominating parents buying it for their kids without even knowing who the character originally was in the comics kind of popularity. Lunchboxes featured his face. Bed sheets featured his face. Birthday cakes across the country started featuring his face as well during this entire golden stretch of merchandising. Toy executives began studying this success closely because nobody had predicted a monster could sell this well to families. Chapter 7. Beating Cowboys and Spacemen. Think about how wild this actually is when you slow down and really consider it. For decades, cowboys and generic spacemen were the default toy aisle staples that every kid grew up with. The Hulk's image completely beat them out in popularity and in sales. A furious green monster somehow became more marketable to children than a classic cowboy figure. That is how strong the Hulk brand had become in such a short amount of time, and it proved something huge for the entire industry going forward. Superhero branding could move serious money in physical merchandise, and not just in monthly comic book sales alone. Chapter 8. The Cinematic Peak. Now let's fast forward all the way to 2012. The Hulk had already gone through 2 shaky solo movie attempts back in 2003 and 2008 with pretty mixed results, to put it kindly and honestly. But then the Avengers happened and everything changed forever. Mark Ruffalo stepped into the role and delivered a motion capture performance that perfectly balanced the tragedy of the character with the sheer spectacle audiences wanted to see on the big screen. And even though he was not technically the lead of the film, the Hulk completely stole the show from Iron Man, from Thor, and from Captain America. Every single one of those A-list heroes got outshined by the big green guy in his own supporting role. The famous scene where he simply flattens a certain trickster god became one of the most quoted moments in the entire film. Audiences erupted in theaters worldwide during that single moment, and clips of it spread everywhere online almost instantly. Chapter 9. Outgrossing the Dark Knight. Here is the number that really puts everything into perspective. The Avengers went on to shatter box office records around the entire world, beating out its biggest rival that year, which was DC's highly anticipated The Dark Knight Rises, to become the single highest grossing film of all of 2012. Marvel's most unstable and unpredictable character just out-earned Batman's most anticipated cinematic finale on the biggest possible stage in all of entertainment. This result stunned analysts who had spent months predicting a much closer race between the two franchises. Marvel's shared universe strategy proved itself in the most public way possible, right in front of the entire world. It cemented the idea that team-up movies could outperform even the most beloved solo hero finales. Chapter 10. The Modern Comic Miracle. And now for the wildest chapter on this entire list. In today's modern comic book industry, Batman is basically untouchable, sitting comfortably at number 1, and that is just widely accepted as fact across the industry. But then writer Al Ewing launched The Immortal Hulk, a body horror masterpiece that turned the character into pure nightmare fuel in the absolute best way possible for longtime readers. In 2019, powered by insane word of mouth and universal critical praise from fans and critics alike, The Immortal Hulk consistently outsold Tom King's flagship Batman run for months at a time straight through the year. Proved once and for all that with the right creative vision behind him, the Jade Giant could still beat the single most popular comic book character on planet Earth. The Hulk's journey is not just a superhero story anymore. It is genuinely one of the greatest underdog comebacks in all of pop culture history. If you learned something new today, smash that like button and subscribe for way more comic book deep dives just like this one coming very soon. I will see you in the very next one.